In this video, we are going to take you along as we explore Yosemite National Park.
We're Katie and Joe. We've been living on the road full-time on a mission to visit all 63 U.S. national parks. That's after we sold everything and self-converted our Ford Transit Clifford into our home on wheels. So far, we've made our way across the southwest portion of the U.S. and have been working our way up California, checking off national parks along the way. The last time you saw us, we'd just wrapped up our exploration of Kings Canyon National Park. So let's get you back up to speed. After leaving Kings Canyon, we drove north. We made our way to a nice little campsite just outside of Yosemite National Park, where tomorrow we will start our adventure. Yosemite National Park has been at the top of our travel bucket list for a while. It is the national park. The iconic imagery of it is seen in all forms of media. When you think national park, Yosemite is likely one of the places you picture, whether you visited or not. This is actually my first time visiting. Joey's been here once before, back in late 2018 with his mom. The first place we are heading to in the park is Yosemite Valley. About an hour into our drive, we got our first real look at the famous Half Dome. I let out an audible wow in awe of the sight, but we can't play that since we were listening to an audiobook while driving. So let's just pretend.
Wow.
That little glimpse was nothing compared to what you see when you emerge from the tunnel.
After a quick stop at Tunnel View, we made our way down to Yosemite Valley.
Yosemite National Park protects nearly 12,000 square miles of breathtaking land in the eastern central part of California. If you aren't staying inside the park, it can take over an hour to get to Yosemite Valley, the most popular and iconic sections of the park. Since we couldn't snag a campsite in the valley, our drive this morning took us a little over an hour and a half. There were multiple sections of road that were damaged, bringing traffic to a full stop to alternate directions in the one open lane. While long, the drive offered beautiful views of the surrounding forest.
California received record snowfall in the months before our trip. Due to that historic winter snowpack, there's pretty extensive flooding throughout the valley.
Way deeper than I thought.
But we'll talk about that later.
We walked around the visitor center and made a plan for the day. We also bought some cheese, because if there's one certainty at this point in our lives, it's that our fridge is always stocked with Tillamook cheese. Back at the van, we made sandwiches and got ready for our first adventure.
One of the most fun ways to explore Yosemite Valley is renting a bike. So that's exactly what we did. For $30 per person, we did a half-a-day bike rental. There are 12 miles of paved designated bike paths running to almost all of the major places to stop, and you don't have to stress about finding parking multiple times throughout the day like you would with your car.
Riding a bike, Tour de France winning.
Our first stop is the trailhead for Lower Yosemite Fall. This is a 1.2-mile hike to the base of the waterfall. The trail is relatively flat and paved the entire way.
We're hiking.
Where are we going?
Falls. You need Lower Yosemite Falls? I think that's the name of this trail.
That is. And that is the upper fall.
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot of runoff. The water is flowing, pretty much flooding the valley. They actually closed the campgrounds down here just yesterday. because there's just too much water flowing through and it's not safe.
Yeah, like none of this is the river. Like, this might be.
This
like,
might be.
Like, that's not. Much wetter than I expected. And we said, bring a poncho.
We'll get wet, bring a poncho. Feels nice though.
So it was a short hike in, and I wouldn't even call it a hike because it's on a paved road.
Well, it's still a hike for some people.
What is it?
0.8 miles so far.
So 0.8 miles, and we've just come from where it is.
We climbed to the top and back.
So fast. No, we didn't. Definitely worth it though. It's incredible.
It's lovely. There's a lot of people. Definitely bring a rain poncho.
Yeah, and be careful of your cameras. They get wet.
We've only biked to one location. We were already so happy that we rented bikes. Cycling is really the way to go.
If a bike rental is not in your budget, the Yosemite Conservancy, thanks to donor support, offers a free bike share program for short trips in the valley. You can take a bike out for a maximum of 2 hours, which is more than enough for a little exploration. There are currently 50 bikes in the program, so definitely check that out if you're thinking about biking in the valley.
What does it say?
That it's not even close to being the maximum water flow.
And yet, look at this.
Pretty damn high.
All right, so in 1997, that's how high the water got, which I'm about a little bit taller than that.
Nobody could have driven a car if it was 5 feet taller than it is now. Right now, campsites are being closed because water is seeping through and creating
Crazy.
swamps.
You could bring your yacht in here
What yacht?
one day. So the bike rental is the way to go because for $30 for half a day, you can avoid all of the traffic. And the shuttle system is fantastic and it will take you places, but they are also susceptible to the traffic, as you will see. So you get a little bit of workout, you get the views, and you don't have to sit in the car in traffic.
Speaking of the buses, the Yosemite Valley shuttle system provides free transportation throughout the valley. It runs approximately every 20 or so minutes and will take you to all the key spots.
We rode our bikes to the Ahwahnee Hotel, which is one of the lodges here in Yosemite Valley. And what we learned is that you don't have to stay here to be able to go and go into the dining room, go into the lobby, and get an experience in the lodge. And the lodge is super expensive.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go in and get a drink and a snack and see what it's all about.
This is like the lodge of lodges. Like everything is like rated off of this lodge. So we have high expectations. And in reality, I just want a Diet Coke.
Yeah. think?
It was a fun experience, and now I'm jealous that we're not staying there.
The food was really good.
That was probably one of the best pork sandwiches I've ever had. And they had Aperol Spritzes, and Debbie, who was our waitress, was fantastic. And
The best. All right, we are going to hop on the bikes, and we're going to make our way to Mirror Lake Trailhead,
Yes.
where we're going to try to hike up to see the Mirror Lake.
And last time I was here, there was no mirror because there was no water because it was the end of November. This year, we know there's water, so
That's
hopefully
true.
there's a mirror.
We're going to find out.
We've covered a ton of ground today, checking off a handful of our key sites in a long afternoon.
Because we rented our bikes, that's as far as we could go. And now we're doing, it's a 2 mile hike?
Too late? I think it's like 0.8.
That's a
0.9.
2 total.
Yeah, 2 miles total.
2 miles total. So a mile hike in, and then a mile hike back to the bikes.
The bike path continues further up to the lake, so if you bring your own bike, you'd be able to ride all the way up.
That's Half Dome.
Where's Full Dome?
Don't know.
I'll Google that later.
So we made it to Mirror Lake.
There's actually water in it. So now I understand why they call it Mirror Lake. Before I just thought it was a sand beach.
And it's relatively calm right now, so the reflections are really beautiful. You can see Half Dome reflected in it and some of the other mountainous structures off in the distance.
Structures.
Mirror Lake was pretty much the last thing on our list of things to do today, and our bike rental is coming to a close. We have to make sure that we're back in time to return it. So we're gonna hop back on the bikes, head towards the visitor center, and I think
Get another Aperol Spritz. I mean, return the bikes.
I'm okay with that. Right, we'll be back on the bikes.
On our way out of the valley, we stopped at El Capitan Meadow to watch climbers. This is the cliff wall that Alex Hanold climbed in the Free Solo documentary. Looking at the face of this wall, it's wild to think he climbed it unassisted.
We pulled off at Tunnel View to take it all in one more time before making the long drive out of the park. This overlook provides one of the most famous views of Yosemite Valley. From here, you can see El Capitan, the waters of Bridal Veil Fall cascading into the valley, with Half Dome visible in the background. This viewpoint quickly became one of our favorite spots to just sit and observe the majesty of this incredible place. Leaving the park, we caught glimpses of the sunset, content after a perfect first day in Yosemite.
There are a few gas stations in Yosemite National Park. Gas is available at Wawona, Crane Flat, and El Portal. Gas is not available in Yosemite Valley, so make sure your tank is full before making the long drive in.
It is the start of our second day in Yosemite National Park. We're getting ourselves ready to do some hikes, but
We drove into Yosemite today with an exotic car rally, and we blended right in. No one knew we weren't supposed to be there.
it was pretty cool. The cars were pretty neat. And we also found a really good parking spot.
We're going to the Mist Trail to the misty mountains in search of gold.
The mist trail should lead us to, I believe it's
Smog. That's who it's leading us to.
I think it's Vernal Falls.
It's Vernal Falls. We're listening to The Hobbit right now. I love The Hobbit. It's one of my favorite books.
So, New Zealand road trip next.
That's true.
The Mist Trail is a very popular hike in the park. The first paved mile of the trail leads to the Vernal Fall Footbridge. It is almost entirely uphill, with breathtaking views of the scenery along the Merced River.
So far, the hike has been really nice. It has been straight uphill, but it is paved, which makes it nice. But the breeze off the river cools us down, making this a little more tolerable. I wouldn't imagine doing this in July or August when it's 100+ degrees.
Yay! I don't know which fall it is somewhere. It's nice.
To get to the top of Vernal Fall, you have to hike a steep granite stairway over 600 steps. The ranger we spoke to at the visitor center warned that it would be slippery because of the tremendous amount of waterfall spray happening right now.
So we made it to the footbridge that looks out to Vernal Falls.
Yeah,
And you could keep going further up, but everyone was coming back soaking
completely
wet.
soaked. We have more to do today, and I don't just want to be cold for the rest of it.
Yeah, so we stopped at the bridge, which was worthwhile. It
Yeah.
was spectacular. But if you want to keep going, you can keep going. But we're
I think you can keep going for like 260 miles or something.
You can make your way into Kings Canyon.
Yeah, Mount
and-
Whitney.
So if you are ambitious, you can do that. But
Yeah,
we're gonna
that's-
head back to the car.
That's
and
above our fitness level.
way up.
I want to go get some sport beans.
Sport beans. We are making our way to the visitor center to take care of some very important business. We are going to become junior rangers at Yosemite National Park.
Junior Rangers!
Junior Rangers! Hey! The Junior Ranger program is one of our favorite things to do in the park. It's free for anyone to do. You get a booklet that has a ton of information. I feel like we learned so much about the park through this, even though it's for kids. But there isn't an age limit. And then at the end, you get to take an oath to protect the park and share your journey. And we've already done it a bunch of times, as you can see. And hopefully add another one today.
Plus, once you become sworn in as a junior ranger for that specific park, you're better than everyone else.
Mr. Humble over there. That's not true.
No, it is though. It's 100% true. You can boss people around. We were even sworn in as senior junior rangers at Kings Canyon. Sequoia. Senior
junior ranger.
That's like assistant to the branch manager.
That's just as important.
After a very hectic meeting with the park ranger, we were granted the rank of junior park ranger.
We took our oath, and now we have our little badges that we're gonna add to the collection.
I don't have a hat like Katie.
He's not cool enough for it. So we're walking back to the car, and our goal for today was to actually leave Yosemite Valley closer to noon. But it's now what?
It's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. and guess where we're walking? Still through Yosemite Valley. It's so easy to just get sucked in. We haven't done any huge hikes, but just walking around the valley and going into the ranger stations and just exploring, you don't realize how much time has passed, and then all of a sudden it's 5 p.m. and we haven't gone to the giant sequoias, which was our plan for the afternoon.
So we're adding another day to our Yosemite trip just so we can go see the sequoias tomorrow.
Yeah. It has been years since Yosemite has had this large of a snowmelt. You can look everywhere through the valley and see waterfalls. There's one. There's a big one. There's some behind us. Every single rock face seems to have some sort of waterfall with water absolutely cascading down.
This isn't even a hike, but it's just lovely, and it's paved and definitely accessible for almost everyone.
Yosemite Valley does a really good job of having these paths, like mostly for, I think, bike travel, but you can walk the whole valley.
Yeah.
Which is nice because parking can be difficult.
Yeah.
Especially in a busier season. Like, it's kind of busy now, but I imagine nothing like it would be in the summer.
Especially when you have a 25-foot long van.
True, we are limited.
Yeah, we're very limited to where we can park. And these paths are really nice, and they go by the river and in between these trees, and kind of gets you off the main road. So
yeah, so if you don't want to do a big hike like Half Dome or some of the vertical ones, just walking through the valley, you see everything.
It's so nice. The more you know.
All right, we're on our way back to where we're camping this evening, but we couldn't help but stop for some views.
I'm Ansel Adams. Take a photo.
Tunnel View has a spectacular view down into the valley, and you have to go. We've been here 3 times.
Yeah, we've stopped every time we've driven by it.
Look at it.
You can't beat it.
We spent close to an hour admiring this incredible view. And while we would have loved to stay for sunset, we still had an hour drive to get out of the park and back to our campsite for the night. There, we cooked up some pasta for dinner and enjoyed an evening of trash TV. This was our first slow morning here, so we indulged in coffee, eggs, and toast. Most days on the road, we've had a quick yogurt and granola breakfast, because we've been driving an hour plus each morning to get into the valley. But since our first stop today is less than 10 minutes drive from our campsite, we made the most of the extra time. It is the start of day 3 for us here in Yosemite National Park, and we have one more item on our to-do list, and that is to see the giant sequoias in the Mariposa Grove. The Grove is located just beyond the south entrance to Yosemite, which is about an hour's drive from Yosemite Valley, which is where we've been spending most of our time. So it's a little bit of a trek, but we're hoping that it's worth it.
The shuttle system is not currently running. We're too early in the season. So you have 2 options to get to the start of the hike where you can see the trees. One is just walk along the road since there's no shuttle to the parking lot, or walk through the forest. There's a nice hiking trail that'll take you to the same location. They're both roughly the same. We elected to choose the road since it's gonna be a quicker walk anyway, and we were really excited to see the trees.
That walk and or hike is 2 miles out and 2 miles back. So you're walking a minimum of 4 miles, not including what you do in the Grove, which is miles and miles of trails. So you're looking at a pretty hefty walk. So come prepared if the shuttle's not running.
There's the trail. You can see people walking.
Here, put on me.
Here's the road. You can see us huffing and puffing.
That's true. The trail follows the road relatively close, but I think it's a little bit lower. So probably a nice stroll. And it's shaded. The road is like kind of not as protected, so that sucks. But it's hot.
The tarmac gets hot.
Yeah, and it's warm. The person at the visitor center said that in the Grove, there's like still snow and stuff. So we brought long pants, I have sweaters. It's like 80 degrees right now, so I don't need them yet, but hopefully it's cooler down there. We're about 1.5 miles into our hike to the Grove, and it's all uphill and relatively steep. So I'm sweating, huffing and puffing a little bit. We're not sure if the trail below has the same elevation gain, but the road is really steep.
We made it to the final shuttle stop, and now we're going to go explore some trees.
It's made of giant squirrel wood.
All right, let's go into the Grove.
Going on hike, going on hike. I am excited for a cold coffee.
What'd you learn?
Giant sequoias are basically, you can stand forever unless there's multiple fires or a lot of soil erosion or humans come by and chop them down.
Damn, we suck.
So 5 years ago, me and my mom came to Yosemite, and this tree was definitely standing and the trail followed along where it was. So it's really cool because now the trail kind of goes around, but we're going to get a second version of one of these in a few years once the rain kind of like washes away all the dirt that's attached to the roots of this tree.
The Big Trees Loop was on that really nice boardwalk. It's a super simple little walk that goes around and allows you to see some of the giant sequoias, but we're making our way deeper into the forest to see the grizzly giant. This is the second sequoia grove that we've seen so far in our national park road trip. Our first was in Kings Canyon, and this one feels very different. There are a lot of fallen trees, so it feels very exposed. You're in the sun a lot more than I would expect walking through the forest. It's still really neat, and the trees are magnificent, but it's definitely a different vibe. So walking up just a little bit further, there was a placard, and I learned why there's a little bit different vibes in this sequoia grove than there is in other places. And that is because in the early 1800s, the early settlers that came here would put out all of the natural wildfires. And by putting them out, it allowed fir trees and other trees that typically wouldn't be taking over this region to grow and to prosper. And so for the last few decades, the National Park Service has been reintroducing those controlled burns, which kind of suppresses those fir trees and the other trees that wouldn't traditionally be here, and allows the ecosystem to heal and bring back the sequoias and the trees that are supposed to be growing here. So it was interesting because in our junior ranger book, we also learned how important forest fires are, which is kind of counterintuitive because we're both from Colorado, so when we hear forest fires, it's like devastation. But the fires will burn the stuff that will prevent those big dry fires that then ruin entire forests. So it's really interesting and a fun fact that we learned. So other natural factors led to the trees falling down, which leads to the open, but the controlled burns and the rehabilitation of the forest is why that it feels so exposed. We made it to the grizzly giant. According to the placard, this tree is 28 feet in diameter, and the tree we saw in Kings Canyon, which was the General Grant tree, was 40 feet in diameter. If you look at this, that's pretty thick, so it's crazy. This tree is one of the more notable ones in the Grove. It's definitely a main attraction if you're coming here just to see its sheer size. Some of the branches growing off are massive. There's one that's over 7 feet in diameter, which is larger than a majority of the trees that surround it.
Katie just showed one of the main attractions here. Now let's go to one of my favorite ones. It's right up the road.
The California tunnel tree was the second tree to be tunneled in Yosemite National Park in an effort to promote tourism. It is the last remaining tunnel tree here because the first one fell in 1969. And it's interesting because this tree is actually living. And if you walk through it, you can see that the bark is starting to grow inward in an effort to heal the scar that we created to try to get more people into the forest. So while that tree is pretty cool, it's wild the ideas they had back in the day to promote tourism and tried to bring people to these parks. Like, it's great that they're protected lands, and it's probably because they brought people here.
Right.
But it's also sad to see, like, we blew a hole in a tree.
Yeah. we cut down a tree to ship it east. Like in Carlsbad, they were thinking about blowing up sides of the cave so you could drive a car in.
Do a driving tour. They didn't do it, but it's wild the ideas that they were coming up with to try to bring people to these parks.
The ideas of conservation are very different from now to then.
Yeah, so it's a good thing though, because now the parks are promoting like
leave no trace.
Yeah, so they are still getting people to come, which is great, so that you can experience these parks, but in a more conservation focused way and not blowing holes into trees.
Something that we've seen a few times on this hike are these really cool outlines, and these outlines represent fallen sequoias. There's one here, there's one at the visitor center, and there's a few more on the trail. Keep a lookout.
All right, we are done at the Grove and we're gonna head back to the car. We're opting to take the road because we know what we're getting ourselves into. We know the trail would be fun to do, but we just want to get back to the car because we're how many miles into this?
4.5.
4.5 miles already. We have 2 more miles to get back to the car. So we're gonna take a nice little stroll. At least it's all downhill.
Yeah.
Except for this part.
Except for the first part.
Except for the first part where we have to go back up.
But then it's all downhill.
All right, so this is one reason why things aren't running. There's a big hole in the road.
It's not supposed to be like that.
Also, Joey wanted to point out that these trees, right before you get to the parking lot,
are 100% wider and taller than the big tree that we saw already. These are bigger. You don't even have to go that far. Just come here.
So if you wanted to just turn around at this hole, you would still get to experience a big tree. I'm not sure it is wider or taller, but they are really large and quite beautiful.
Scientifically speaking, I am a junior ranger, and those are wider and taller.
And his science is non-existent.
I took a geology class once.
That's true.
Rocks for jocks.
But these are trees, so...
Petrified wood, Catherine.
These are alive.
Can I speak to you off camera? You guys did it right.
Yeah, that's what we should have done. We should have done that. Yeah. We made it back to the van.
Huzzah.
Overall, I think it ended up being 6.5 miles total to go see the Grove. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not sure it's worth it.
Ooh.
If the shuttle's not running, that's a lot of hiking and a half a day just to see kind of like a generic grove. And I think we're a little jaded because we just came from Kings Canyon where their Sequoia Grove is really dense and super beautiful. So then to come here, hike all that way, and then just be like, it was pretty. I think it would be more enjoyable if you take the shuttle up.
Or in the winter.
In the winter,
Yeah.
yeah. So overall, if you're in the area, do it. But we're gonna head in, stamp our books, and then make our way out and give you our final thoughts. Our time in Yosemite National Park has officially come to a close. We had a really good time here, and it's shocking how much time we ended up spending here. We were a little caught off guard.
Yeah, 1 day became 2, 2 days became 3, and 3 days became us planning a return trip in the fall.
Yeah, there is so much to do in Yosemite National Park, and there's so much to do in different seasons. So we were really fortunate this time that we got the spring runoff, so I got to see all the waterfalls, which is something that I really love. But I know that Joey missed out on what he really wanted to do here, which was...
We're too early in the season for me to climb Half Dome. They don't put the cables up until the end of this month, end of May, early June. So hopefully we'll come back October, November of this year, or maybe next, and do it then.
Yeah, we definitely can see how people end up coming here 7, 8, 10, 15 times in their lifetime, because every season holds something different and it's a new experience, and we will definitely be returning.
Yeah.
And if you guys have been here in a time in the fall, in the winter, in the summer, we would love to hear in the comments what your experience was like and any tips and tricks and things that we should see when we do come back, because we are definitely coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we had a great time. And I think
I enjoyed it. This is my second time in Yosemite, and I feel like every time I come back, it's just more and more, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's so much here.
This is like, so far, our 13th park, but this is the park.
Yeah.
This felt like
This
national.
is the national park of national parks. There's a reason why it holds the status within the national park realm.
Yeah, it was awe-inspiring, and we had a great time, and we hope you had a great time watching this video. We would love it if you hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and we would really love it if you subscribed and followed along on our journey to all 63 U.S. national parks. Yeah.
All right.
We're heading west.
Yeah. 3.5 hours away. We have another national park to hit tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
California Fisher.
The statue scared me. I turned around and saw it, and it spooked me. You have to go to the south entrance, and that's about a mile. No. Early days. Nope. Closer. Nope. Last remaining tree. Nope. And we're into the forest called the Wine. But that was up. Hold on one second. I went a little rambling. Everywhere you look, there is some type of massive waterfall. There's one. Turn this way. There's a Joey.
I see it.